G'day guys, and welcome back to another episode of TRC, the Terrain Racing Channel. It is Sunday morning. I have a little bit of shed time this morning. If you have caught up with one of my other videos, I recently got a pipe bender in the shed, which I'm really excited to start using and getting into. Now, I've got a decent sized journey of what actually I need to do to learn how to pipe bend. And I'm waiting on a new die set for the bender, and I'm also, if you saw in the other video, there's a piece missing for the original die that came with it. There's two sizes of steel that roll cage requirements across most disciplines use, and that's a 44.45 mil and a 38.1 mil. The die that's currently with the pipe bender is a 38.1 mil, but it is missing which is a 1 3/4, I believe, inch, or maybe it's 1 1/2 or 1 3/5, I don't know. But it's missing the kind of U-strap that holds it. So I'm kind of having a chance to use the pipe bender as such yet, and I also don't have any roll cage pipe kicking around. So once I get back from Canberra over this Christmas period, I will put an order in for a couple of pipes, purely so I can practice bending and obviously notching. Now, I've had one go with the notcher as well. I've got one small length, which is the 44.45 mil. So I can't use that in the bender anyway, but what I can do is start practicing notches. And I'm also starting to teach myself how to TIG weld the cage. I just love the look of TIG welded cage, and it's a discipline and a skill set that I really wanted to continue to improve in my repertoire of things. So what I thought this morning, while I've got a bit of time kicking around the shed, is I'm going to pop down to Bunnings and I'm going to grab myself a 44 mil hole saw. The hole saw, or closest hole saw I got, I believe was a 40 or a 42. I did do one test piece and just had to shave it up with an angle grinder and clean it up a bit just so it was a slightly tighter fitment. So definitely TIG welding and the fitment of the roll cage stuff is something that I really want to perfect. I've got a few projects that I'd really like to do that will require cages or brush bars or stuff like that, and I just want to be able to play and experiment and design my own stuff on the Patrol build and also down the track on the Commodore, and also depending on how things go. For those who might or might not know, there's a G60 comp truck project that I'd love to just start tinkering away, and the big part of that is obviously roll cages. Enough blabbering. I just thought I would share this story, share this journey of learning how to TIG weld. I know there's a lot of guys out there that if you want to learn the real specifics and watch a pro, that's awesome. But for the average Joe that is looking at doing some stuff in their home shed and want to see someone as useless as they are, keep watching along and let's learn this TIG welding stuff together. All right, mission successful. 44 mil Kanga hole saw. Carbide teeth, multi-material. It says it's for stainless steel and hardened metal. So it will be interesting to see how this guy goes and whether it's any good. I also got myself just a cheap set of gloves. Like I needed some sort of gloves. I didn't really read it, but durable gripping. But I'm assuming because it says mechanics on it with an X, that hopefully it's got some sort of heat resistance. And even if it doesn't, for today, it's going to be a whole bunch better than my bare hands. The other thing I got was just some Sutton Tools Venom cutting compound. As I continue to just set up more and more of this fabrication side of the shed, may as well start getting a few bits and pieces and trying it. Ooh, nice Chop 200 series. Definitely not a cruiser man, but the big Chops 200 series are a pretty cool bit of kit. Waste of money, if you ask me, but if money's not an option, very cool. Let's go back to the shed and hook this hole saw up and get set up, and pretty keen trying to get 2 or 3 TIG welds done hopefully on this beautiful Sunday morning / afternoon. I think we might pull into Macca's and just get a cheeky salted caramel frappe. I try and eat healthy, but there's just something about the McDonald's salted caramel frappe that fills my heart with joy, and that's the most important thing. All right guys, made it back into the shed. So I just wanted to give you a quick snapshot of, this is the one I did the other day. I actually bended 1/2 and I did the other half. Not stunningly beautiful, but really happy for my first go TIG welding steel. I don't know if it's going to be able to see it, but also inside there we did get good penetration coming through this main bar here. And then we started and stopped. I had a bit of a hiccup in a couple of spots that left a bit of black scarring, which I'm assuming, I haven't cleaned this up yet, so it'd be interesting to see how it comes up cleaned up. But this here is the only piece I have left. So my plan is to just chop a few sections and see if I can weld it together. Once again, what did we have on here? It was a 40 mil, so missing kind of 2 mil either side. So I did have to clean it up a fair bit in order to get it sitting nicely. There is another little piece just here. So as you can see, I ended up cutting here and cutting here with an angle grinder because it didn't quite go through it. But I tell you what, doing a hole saw cut with this double bearing and just holding this shaft really still, it's amazing how much better this cuts. And so very keen to get this guy hooked up into the notcher and give that a go. I'm going to do a couple more cuts out of here just so I can practice as many as I can out of that, and then look for a piece of 44, or I can't remember what they call it. It's like 1.5 and then 1 3/4, I believe, but don't quote me on that. Don't go buy stuff based on that. I got the old frappe, mate. Get a bit of a sugar kick into me on a Sunday morning. We'll unpack this guy, and then up the back here, these lights as well has been brilliant, as are the glasses. Doing the TIG welding the other day, this is the first time I've actually welded with proper vision. My eyesight, I've been in denial for a while, but finally getting these has been an absolute game changer, especially on finicky stuff like that. So for those that care, I bought the Razor 200 Unimig razor. We have, I believe these are probably at the moment a slightly 1.6 mil sticks, and I'm pretty sure they're too small for the application I'm doing, but that's okay. And then these Milwaukee lights as well have been great, just to be able to just give you really good vision on here. So yeah, we're ready to pump on up using the RWX 8000, which is a whole bunch better. I did get this Weld Wolf one by Weld Class. I didn't really treat it well, and it got scratched and damaged and rah. Kind of my own fault on that. This helmet's been a much better helmet though, as far as vision and clarity, and now welding with these, I can see so much more. The last time we did it as well, we changed to a clear tip. For me, it just gave me a bit more vision. I don't really know the difference yet around different tips and what application to use what for. I've watched heaps of videos, but it's a lot of information to try and retain as well when you're not doing it day in, day out. But yeah, keen to these gloves on, because at the moment we were just down to one Unimig glove left. But yeah, let's notcher, cut a couple of pieces, clean them up, and go for a practice TIG weld. I'm very excited. Now I'm not sure, but my guess is that there's this like brass washer that comes with this notcher as well that sits against this face, and I'm pretty sure every time I've changed the hole saw, it seems to be really easy to crack. And for those of you that have used on the job site without this type of thing, they can get jammed on there pretty tight. I'm wondering if the softness of this just allows for a bit of give, so taking it off isn't too hard. And then really we'll just throw this new can go on the end. All right, that's pretty much squared up. New pieces in. I mean, I kind of square, or this first test here, it'd be great to see, I suppose, how square that is. That's going to tell us. It looks like it could probably go up a fraction, but we're just going to give it a red hot go and see how we go. Now, I'm sure everyone's got their own tips and tricks. Always found with hole saws and doing many switchboards over the years, especially into stainless steel hats, need one on a drill or the slow speed, and then just a bit of consistent pressure. And a charged battery would also help. I'll be back. All right, take two. So great cut. Now it did bite right at the end, and so it's actually snapped off that end like 0.15 of a mil, and that's our starting side. Once again, I haven't done any other real cuts bar one more, or notches bar this one. And as you can see, this part here is slightly higher than this one. So I'm pretty sure that was my underside and that was my top side. When we put that, you can see how this side, it's only really small, but it's enough to be a pain when tigging, is slightly raised. whereas the backside that cut well is like super all the way around. So that's awesome. For this particular one, I will have to just trim off this edge here, and also I'll just do a little bit of cleanup there and just a really light cleanup around the rest of it. But yeah, that's one piece tigged. Now if you compare that to the 40 mil or just having 2 mil off either side, that's what 2 mil difference does. You can really see on that how a 40 mil compared to the right size hole saw means you have to just clean up so much. I found that obviously as soon as you start cleaning up, you're doing it by hand, and so your scallop isn't perfect and you end up with these little extra height bits. Really exciting just to get this notcher tuned in a bit. I'm going to probably come over here and adjust this height here to just raise it just very slightly and try and get that a little bit more central than what it is. But other than that, this is definitely something great I can work with. Where are ya? This is great. I'm very keen to get the TIG welder fired up. I might do one more of these with an adjusted height and see if we can get a closer cut, clean them both up, and then also potentially try and get this one cleaned up and then head over and start tigging. What I'm doing is I've done a few more cuts trying to get this as centered as I can. I did find out that there's a grub screw under the bottom here, and so backing these locking screws off just fractionally, you can then tighten this and really adjust. What I've kind of done is this back one at the height that I think is right, or close enough to, and then I'm just backing off the one and using the grub screw, and you can watch it just lightly. Now on this run, what I've done is I've run the hole saw until I can see that the two lines from the cutting hole saw meet in the middle. And then if you come under here, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but you'll notice that those lines aren't meeting yet. That tells me that I'm lower on this. Now what I've also been doing is super technical, is just sitting something flat-ish along the top there, and I was noticing that I had a slight, only a mil or so, but it's amazing how small it can be to make a big difference on the actual pipe to the back here. It was resting on the back, resting on the top of the pipe, and there was a slight gap. I've adjusted this with the grub screw to lift this face up. I'm going to give that another cut now and see if it changes it at all. But you really want to try and just lock these guys in so every time is getting just a really as to perfect notch as possible. Lock these up really tight and then nip this grub screw up just to kind of make sure the nice firm consistent pressure. But that has given me 1, 2, 3 more notches to play with and weld. We'll give this one a go and hopefully it's pretty close to the money, and then we'll go around, clean all of these up and prep them for welding. I'm feeling confident, learning heaps as I go. The other thing I took into account is just working out exactly from this face of the block to the very outside edge of this cut. So when I am doing my cuts as well for the cage or for roll bars or anything, I'm knowing that when I line this up, I account for this gap and I can get that perfect every time. Anyway, it's nice to be in the shed just playing with something that's just a little bit different, learning a new skill and having fun while I do it. I'll see you in a sec. All right, guys, that is looking a whole heap better. Still a very fraction on one side, but that'll take me to clean up, but looking a lot more square. Get into cleaning up all of these little offcuts. They're double-ended. I'm either going to cut them all down the guts and just kind of throw them on, or try and practice putting them different ways in 90s and try and get some harder corners for myself, not just going on the one that I did the other day with full access and everything. That was definitely hard enough, and a lot of practice will need to go into just refining this. But it has filled me with confidence to start getting the components together for TIG welding my own set of manifolds together, turbo manifolds for this LS build. I was undecided for a while because I jumped in and decided to turbo the because an amazing deal came up. I couldn't let it go, so I bought that. And for those that have seen other videos, they'll know that the kit came off a 2012 VE Commodore. So it's a direct bolt-in kit, which makes it super easy. But that was kind of the fun to turbo this. Now I'm was planning to just get this up and running and wiring and get it to a certain stage and then decide, but I think I might just go ahead and buy the parts for the manifold and just continue to practice my TIGging skills and fabrication skills and start knocking out a set of manifolds. But very happy. I'm going to clean up this big bit of pipe here, and hopefully in a little while we will be full of random little weld-on bits. Now we are sitting here, and I clean them up with just some metho because the wax and grease remover is out on a job in the trailer at the moment. But you cleaned up all of the edges are nice and shiny and ready to weld. The best thing about, I think, choosing a specific thing, right? I know exactly the wall thickness of this and what type of pipe it is, and it's helped made learning MIG welding and TIG welding easier if you're really specific, because in this day and age, you can actually go to Google or wherever, YouTube, and you can put in the specific material that you're doing and the recommended settings on stuff. Now, the cheat sheet or the smart stuff in the Unimig, they kind of do that to a degree, but nothing like getting industry knowledge of someone who kind of does this day in and day out. So the TIG welder is set up from Tuesday night when me and Ben had a bit of a play. I'm pretty happy that the tungsten, I don't know if that's going to be able to see it or not, but yeah, pretty happy with tungsten. We didn't ever really dip that tungsten and it's still looking nice and sharp. I have a feeling that this is the right size tungsten, but it is potentially the wrong size rod. Maybe we need a little bit extra thick filler rod. I'm definitely going to ask one of my mates who is a fab guy. But pretty excited. Time to put the long sleeve shirt on and try and get as minimal burns as possible. Hook up and see what we can do. These glasses have definitely been a godsend in doing this stuff. Now, the chart definitely has been learning to try and get comfortable with this torch, and obviously being a noob, I'm not sure what I'm doing, but I'm gonna try and go for a tack without, I suppose, tacking it. What I'm just gonna do really quickly is I am going to just clean up this end, and that way I can attach my earth to it and get this earth cable out of the way. Thing is, I am nowhere near, absolutely nowhere near, using this thumb like adjuster. For those that don't know, there's a variable, I think it volts that it changes, or a variable heat that this thing does do. I'm so from being able to hold it still and control this at the same time, so there's none of that going on at the moment. But what I am going to do is just see if I can get a bit of a tack without... Good job, buddy. Now, this is going to be a bit different because I'm welding on an edge here, and I kind of haven't really come around to do that before. So I'm not exactly sure what I'm meant to do and how it's meant to look. Not too bad a weld, but I didn't even hit the line, so I suppose in that way it is a bad weld. Now it's opened up a little bit of gap on this side, and I don't know whether it's going to be too much of a gap or that's okay. The rest of it seems fairly okay, so I might try and work down this backside and see how I go. Alright, not terrible. For those who are welding geniuses, please tell me how I can improve. But I'm fairly happy with that, and from what it looks like, have penetration through to the other side. Definitely loving the glass tip compared to the other one. how quick you've got to move along that top edge when there's no steel past it. Just the heat just ramps right up. Well, not the most beautiful thing I've ever done, but enjoying the opportunity to learn. You got the shakes up hard. Not too shabby. Probably should have thought about which way I was sticking that, but that doesn't really matter. Yeah, see what I mean? Pretty hard to kind of get through there, but I'd get no shadows. Good bit of penetration though, which I don't know whether is good or not. Totally different ball game trying to get into some of these tighter angles, but once again, practice makes perfect. So I'm going to leave it there, guys, and instead of worrying about the camera, I'm just going to lock in and have a bit of fun welding these next couple of pieces on. But yeah, if I encourage one thing, get out and give it a go. Don't be worried about all of the people that do amazing jobs. Don't worry about that. They all started somewhere. I am starting somewhere, and I'm absolutely loving just taking a moment to enjoy the learning process with bigger goals in mind. So that's another episode of the Terrain Racing channel. Happy December. We are only a few weeks off for Christmas, which means only a few weeks off to Summer Nats. And might I also add, I'm going to do a little video very soon about the upcoming off-road outlaw enduro, which is a massive four-wheel drive competition that's happening next year, proudly sponsored by Superior Engineering and yours truly, the Goat Collective, and many other awesome Australian companies. So more about that later, but thanks for a like or a comment. Really appreciate you guys that watch, and if you want to leave a comment, say g'day. Makes me smile in my heart, or don't. Have a great day. See ya.